Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back. Oh, that one's just hit the post. I'm currently watching a game that has taken place between Auckland and Northland, but that is not the game that we are doing in this live stream. We are going to be covering Samoa taking on Japan, the Pacific Nations Cup semi-finals. Now, I may look a little bit red. That is because I've recently just got back from a holiday, and we are now ready to go straight into the live stream, which is why we didn't do the Fiji versus USA match that did take place last night. But that was a phenomenal contest for the Flying Fijians. They have made their way through to the final to now play either the winner, well, it is the winner of whoever wins this game between Samoa and Japan. Two sides that have had some decent matches in the past, and I feel like this one will be no different. But looking through at the lineups for these two sides, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, the Samoans, after their last game, there's still moments that they aren't quite getting it right. And I feel like this is one of those contests that if you do make those mistakes, that is when the Japanese will be able to capitalize. A side that have got themselves 2 wins from 2 at this stage of the competition. But looking through at the lineups, if it will let me, we've got Samoa first because for some reason Japan do not want to pop up. But for a start, looking through at the Samoan side, it is going to be Aki Seuli in the front row alongside Sama Malolo and Marco Fipelei as the man at number 3. Ben Nini alongside Samuel Slade in the locking duo with then Theo McFarland, Isaiah Moore, Ayano, and then also Ayakapo Patelo Mapu. That loose forward trio is still a little bit of a tongue twister for myself, but we're slowly getting there as the Pacific Nations Cup competition does wear on. Looking through at the back line, it is Malani Matavao alongside Rodney Iona. And out on the wing, Alofipo in the midfield, Leulu and Lalo Milo alongside Tuna Tuitama, who was very dangerous in the last game we saw from that man. And then to close it out, it is Tomasi Alosio at number 15. So now looking through at this Japanese side, which hopefully will be popping up with a little bit of luck. If we press this button, is it going to let us? Yes, it is. There we go. Japan for this matchup in the front row. Not so many familiar faces for this Japanese side, I will say. I feel like this is definitely an experimental side to a certain extent, but also they are trying to build towards that future. You will see a few familiar faces, such as Warner Durns there in the locking duo. Fakatava, he is always immense, but no Michael Leach in this match for the Japanese. And also not in this competition is pass the reins to those younger players. Dylan Riley in the midfield alongside Tuitama out on one wing, Osada out on the other. So it's kind of cool in a way that we're going to see Tuitama going up against Tuna Tuitama, actually head-to-head in this matchup. Yeah, overall, a strong Japanese side that has got a lot of potential if they can get it right here in this contest. But in the Jet, we have got there O'Malley for the win. He was struggling the last I saw. I think he was 4 rounds down when I saw it last. But did he manage to get a comeback win in the very final moment of that fight? I think there was like 1 minute 20 I saw right at the end. But currently, just before the match, this one is being played in Japan. Ladies and gentlemen, 3 for Japan as a unit. Says Matt John there. They got some big players. And we actually saw another Japanese player playing for Wellington in the Ranfurly Shield Challenge that was only just a moment ago. Tasman taking on the Lions, and in the end, the Marcos managing to retain. Hey, bro, hope you're well. Says Matt John, doing very well, mate. Hopefully you are also doing extremely well. What do you call fryer tuck on a hand glider? An air fryer? Okay, fair enough. We'll start with a joke. But tell you what, Samoa's fired up for this game. I was reading that one, but I was looking out the corner of my eye, and these guys look locked in and focused. They know they're on away territory, but the last 2 times that Samoa and Japan have played, they've been extremely competitive games. And Samoa have actually managed to pull off a win in Japan up against the Japanese as well. I think the big thing's going to be the set piece and the discipline in this contest. If they can't get that right, then I don't think they will be able to win this game. And Japan wins, says Amelia there. And hi, guys. In the chat, go the Manu, says Pele Pele. And also, come on, Samoa, says Samoa forever. And let's go, says Albie in there as well. But the national anthems have been sung. Hi, TKL. Lol, says Amelia. Welcome in. Hope you are keeping well. Hope you're excited for this match. Do let me know your score predictions in the comments as well, ladies and gents. For me, I think we're going to see both sides score around that 25 mark. And it'll be a hard battle, go Samoa. Yeah, both of these sides are hard-hitting in terms of that physicality and the breakdown. So Samoa, they have already probably had a little bit more to deal with in their last couple games, seeing as they have been playing up against the Fijians and the Tongans, whereas Japan, they have made easy work of the USA as well as Canada. So they haven't really been challenged, I don't think, this year, which is why this game could be exactly what they want. Definitely if they want to be, I guess, accustomed to that physicality playing up against the Fijians next week if they were to win. Hi again, it's me. Says Bands of Blaze, welcome in, mate. Hope you are keeping well. 20-18 to Japan. Says Matt John. Probably a fair guess there. Warner Dearns, one of the more experienced players out there for Japan. Amato Fakatava, of course, brings just intense physicality. Some big boys in this Japanese side. Paul Williams, he will be the referee in charge of this one. Holly Davidson, Sam Grove White, and then Tual Trainini, I believe it is, or Trainini as the TMO. I've never heard of him. That sometimes makes me concerned when we don't know the TMO. Is it raining? How's the conditions? The sun is out. There's a little bit of wind, but overall, very good conditions for a game of rugby, and it's about to be kicked off by Japan to get us underway for the Pacific Nations Cup semi-final. But Samoa looking straight into the sun, and it shows already as they have knocked the ball on Warner Dearns. There we go. We got it in the end. 10 metres out from the line for the Japanese, and they are still playing under knock-on advantage. Our ball is not quite available. They have got a penalty advantage now, upgrading from that knock-on. Fujiwara puts it in behind, and that's a bit loose. That's a good driving tackle from Lalomilo, just to show a bit of that physicality early, but that will be the penalty to Japan. They can take the easy 3 and give themselves a good lead right at the start of this contest here. 33-28 to Japan. Their frisbee golf out at Western started today. Says Kiwi Gamer. And hey, Amy, I'm doing good, brother. How about yourself? And weather here, it was bloody great, full sunshine. Says Patty. I'm also doing very well. I was a little bit late. I think I was like 2 minutes late for this live stream. Now, it has been a busy week, but we are going to have all the regular videos coming out for next week, I should mention, which includes later on tonight, we will have the lineup prediction for the Springboks in their game up against the Argentines. But now, line-out throw here for Japan. Harada, I should say. Tell you what, the tongue's not working today, is it? 90 seconds gone in this contest. They're going to throw it into the front, nicely claimed for this Japan rolling maul. Harada has got it back. Warner Dearns is looped around, and he wants the opportunity to have that ball in hand, but they're broken off the back, 1 metre short from the line now for the Japan side here. Mato Fakatava gets close, but dragged down once more. They're persisting with those pick and goes close to the breakdown. Just managing to stop Makesi there. Now again to the right-hand side. Tight head prop. They're getting close at the moment, but they can't quite break through. They're going to use their back line here. And almost an interception pass thrown. Samoa not able to capitalise, and now the ball is back in the hands of the Japanese. Lee goes one more out wide to Tuitama. 10 metres between Japan and scoring their first try of this Pacific Nations Cup semi-final. They are persisting, like I mentioned earlier on. They are going phase after phase, up to 7 now. Now across to the left-hand side, put in behind to Dylan Riley with some good hands. And it's stolen clean by Samoa. Getting over the ball was Sama Malolo, and the kick is slightly charged down. Matavao only getting it as far as the 22. Japan running back in. And is that a tip tackle from Tuna Tuitama? I think it might have almost been. I think they've said it's above the horizontal. What a game, pads. Did you see Tasman versus Welly's game? I did. It was an interesting game, to be honest. Like, me and Dad were watching it. Great game. Thought Welly would show a bit more of a battle, though. Yeah, there were some interesting moments in that one. Because, like, Wellington seemed very keen to kick the ball away. Yet they still had more possession. But I think something that really hurt them was just that discipline. And also those little 50-50s just not quite working for them, if that makes sense. But yeah, overall, a great first Shield challenge for Tasman in terms of being able to get the win. And then the end score looks a lot more one-sided, I think, than the game felt. throughout. But yeah, it was a good game. I've gone the wrong way. There we go. Put that there. I did have Welly winning that game. Says pads ablaze. Going off to the right-hand side, Japan, 20 metres out from the line. Now across to the right-hand side, Riley hits it up again. We've had 4 minutes of Samoa not being able to get the ball ever since that first knock-on off kickoff. Fujiwara again will go across. Uluviti. And there's a no advantage. Nicely worked by Japan, managing to pull a player into the breakdown and win that penalty advantage. Fujiwara again, cross kick coming from Japan, and it's just a little bit overcooked. Goes into touch, and they'll go back for another penalty in favour. Oh, okay, Paul Williams has actually taken that advantage back, and he said your own player put him in there, which is correct. Now it's going to be a line out for Samoa. Have you seen Bulls vs Sharks, says ETH? I did see the end score. I didn't get to watch that game, sadly, as I was preoccupied. But it would have been a great game to call with it being golden point in the end. Curry Cup final. Tell you what, next weekend is busy because the Curry Cup final is going to be taking place. The URC is starting, so that'll be interesting to see how the sides juggle the Curry Cup as well as the URC, then the Rugby Championship back. Beautiful kick in behind here for the Japanese, and Dylan Riley will score the first try of the contest. It has been non-stop Japan for the first 5.5, and they finally strike and get the rewards. But yeah, there's a lot on next week. In terms, like Pacific Nations Cup final is also taking place. Just that nice little grubber in behind. This next field challenge is against Auckland. Then Naki of Tasman defend. There's pads ablaze. Yeah, so quite a tough finish for Tasman, but they are the only undefeated side, I want to say, now in the competition. I know that Wellington were undefeated heading into their match today, but yeah, a lot of rugby on at the moment. Too much to really keep track of. That's the second try for Dylan Riley of his Pacific Nations Cup competition. Tatikawa. In fact, no, this time it's going to be Seun Lee. It's come round and it has gone over for Japan. It'll now make the score 7-0 for the home side. Now, I believe the game next week in the final would also be a home game for Japan, unless, I don't know, do Fiji have a chance of playing at home? I don't think they do, the way that the table is. Also, Northland or Auckland are leading 24-17 over Northland. I would like 5 minutes left. So here's pads ablaze. Yeah, I was watching that game right up until the start of this one. I saw that Patrick Tuipulotu scored, so that is good news for New Zealand, that he's still in good form. Mistake off kickoff for the Japanese, but it has bounced backwards this time in their favour. Makisi cleans it up. Now Samoa getting themselves offside. That was Aki Seuli putting the ball in behind. Japan looking for another offload. The ball's loose, but they will go back again for another penalty. At the moment, the discipline for the Samoans just not quite what it should be. Auckland aren't much of a threat for Tasman, but anything can happen though. Yeah, it's an interesting one though, because it's a midweek game. And normally when you have a midweek game, you've either got the injuries from the weekend before, or you're also slightly going with the lighter team because you know that you've got the weekend just around the corner. So I think it could almost work a little bit in Auckland's favour, because they'll be able to put their strongest lineup out there, hoping to take that shield. And then Tasman will have to decide whether or not it's worth putting their strongest side in, or whether it's worth going a little bit lighter. Now, nice passing here in the back line for the Japanese. Almost a little bit of a fumble again here. I don't think the ball's slippery either. It just seems to be both sides struggling to hang on to it. That was close to the turnover for Aki Seuli. Does this current Japan team have what it takes to beat the Springboks like their 2015 squad, says Sean Lees? I feel like no matter what answer I give for that, it's kind of like a weighted question that I'll get in trouble either way. Like, I don't think they're where they want to be at the moment, Japan, currently, but they're moving in the right direction. That's a nice offload Now they're only about 15 metres out at the moment. They're making Samoa look ordinary in this first 10 or so minutes. Samoa just can't get their hands on the ball. Another good attack and run from Fakatava this time. And goes Samoa, says Savanatha. Out to the right-hand side again. Big wide cut-out pass. Finding space for Tuitama. Cuts back on the inside. Getting over that ball was the Samoans. That's a bad one, is it? This might be a deliberate knockdown. And if it is, this is a penalty try more than likely. Their checking number 11 could be in a lot of trouble here. Eliza Pita Alofipo. It was a probable try. This could be bad. I just want to see whether or not the try would have been scored, which I think it would have. He's clearly offside, they've just said. Being clearly offside does not help you. I can tell you that right now. And they do have travel. They haven't really been great this year, only managing to win one win, maybe two, depending on a few minutes. Says Pads Ablaze. Yeah, although they're missing a few players at the moment, so if they have a couple of those guys back, like Tui Pilotu, if they don't have him, it will be a lot more difficult, I would say. This game deserves to sit with the biggest upsets ever, or that game, sorry. What did you think of the Black Ferns game yesterday? I actually thought that they would beat England comfortably, says Sasha Feinberg and Ngume Zulu. Well, welcome in, mate. Hopefully you go all right a couple of weeks' time for the box, but I didn't actually get to watch it, I'll be honest. I haven't actually seen it yet, but I will be watching it probably later tonight after recording with Rugby Itch. Right, 11's going to the bin, and it is a penalty try for Japan. So they will now be 14-0 up over Samoa, and unless something changes soon, it's going to be very hard for Samoa to get back into this contest. We're going to try and adjust the green screen a little bit here. That might have to do. I haven't got both of my lights set up. Like I mentioned, just got back from being away from home. I meant that I was pretty much rushing to try and get this set up. We had the microphone and everything else packed away. But we'll have the second light very soon, once again. We have got... No, that was all of them. We're good. 14-0 down at the moment for the Samoans after 10 minutes. This is not the start to the match that they would have been after. Chance for Rodney Iona to kick this one off again. And Alofipo will be off the field for the next 9.5 minutes. Pixel Man. There's Badza. Yeah, it is a little bit, isn't it? But then the other setting was a little bit too high. That's a great run from Amato Fakatava. Now going to the short side. Looking around for Dylan Riley. Now short side again. Just at the foot on the touchline for Japan. Wanting to play this game at a very fast pace at the moment. Like they've just mentioned, a little bit of extreme heat that the players have to deal with. It's going to be the scrum for Samoa. They are 40 metres out from the line. Do you think Fiji can beat both of these teams? I'll be honest, like Japan offer you something that we're not used to seeing in terms of like for the Pacific Nations Cup per se between Tonga, Fiji and Samoa. Because, I don't know, they're pretty structured. Depending on where that final is as well, I think will affect it a little bit. Back weights, 11 kg advantage for Japan. At the moment, territory and possession are over 90% in favour of the Samoans. Now Malani Matavao going across now into the hands of Petelo Mapu. They just need to have a little bit more of their hands on the ball, but not so much more time with it, just more effectiveness when they're holding it. Big run from Fepuluai. Now Matavao goes across to Iona in behind. Good defence from Japan so far. Not allowing this Manu Samoa side through. Aki Seuli has to step in his halfback. Sama Malolo gets it across there to Tomasi Alosio. Out the back, Malani Matavao has to rush it a little bit. Aki Seuli gets it away now. Another big run coming from Petelo Mapu. 3 big fins and he's just slipped over about 10 metres from the line. Malani Matavao goes to Iona, past our wide. Tuna Tuitama scores the try now for Samoa, and they're back into it. Just like that. Scoring in quick succession throughout this game for these two sides. Already 3 tries in the first 12 minutes. If we continue at this rate, we could have about a 100-point game, but I don't think that will happen. I think eventually we're going to see these sides slightly slow down. I think they can, I think they can. Like, they have the skills and talent there. They really just need put the two together. So here's Pads Ablaze. Yeah, I think the main concern for Fiji has been their discipline. And it was a lot better in the game up against USA, which is what they'll need next week as well. Samoan coach is very happy with that one. Tuna Tuitama gets himself his 3rd try of the Pacific Nations Cup. Only 10 seconds remaining on Rodney Orna's kick. To rush it a little bit as time was running low, but he has got it over, so now 7 points to 14 in favour of the Japanese still. The fact that we've only had 13 minutes and we've already seen 3 tries, which is almost, in fact, it's the same amount of tries as we saw between Fiji and USA. Fiji scoring 3 times in that game. Ilia Thanakai-Vata getting himself 2. He will be a danger man next week for the Pacific Nations Cup final. But now kicking off again, it will be Seon-Sin Lee. And kicks it off long. Nicely taken by Samoa just outside of the 22. Tuna Tuitama, I should say, claiming that one. Another big run from Patelo Mapu. It was actually his bursting run that got Samoa on the front foot in the first place. Been doing golf over the last few months. So here's Pads. Well, hopefully it has been working all right for you. You've chosen probably the worst time of the year to do golf, seeing as it's quite wet and you can't really get a huge amount of roll. It's going to be the penalty now going the way of Japan. Malani Matavao being penalised. Okay, they've said that the ball had shifted. Oh, I'm starting to get good now. Like, most shots go at least 100 metres. So here's Pads Ablaze. Nice. I'm trying to remember if, I think the local one, definitely here in New Zealand, white's 135 normally, isn't it? And then yellows or reds normally about 100. That's going to be a nice run for from Fakatava again. Only a couple metres out from the line. That is a massive shot coming in from Samamalolo. Samoa wanted the turnover. They couldn't get it. Now Seon-Sin Lee has been chopped in half, but he's still got his cross kick in. And Tuitama runs it in, and I'm not talking about Tuna Tuitama. In fact, in this case, it is actually Osada who gets the try. Just like that. 4th try of this match. I go to park for now. I am practice, says Padza. Yes, Seon-Sin Lee smashed in the challenge, but still got the kick away out wide. And then Osada manages to finish the job. I get it up to 140 to 150 metres. Says Pads Ablaze there. Great bit of work from Osada. They've got 10 seconds. Both sides taking a very long time in terms of their shot clocks at the moment. That's with 9, 7, and 5 irons. Says Pads Ablaze. That one's going over. That is now going to make the score 21 points to 7 in this Pacific Nations Cup semi-final. Samoa still playing with a man advantage. Samoa not looking good, says Anoi. They have just shown their Eddie Jones watching on. He'll be relatively confident at the moment, but he would like one more just to really secure it. We're not even a quarter of the way through this game yet. And we have already seen 4 tries. Once again, if we're talking about the speed that this game has taken place, and on average, that means we're going to have about maybe 18 tries throughout this contest if both sides continue scoring the way that they are here. See, the Samoa's defence needs to get a lot stronger. It's going to be dropped by Tuna Tuitama, chasing after it, just knocks it on. Australia and New Zealand, I could play in this comp also. Says Annoy. They could, although I think that the problem you've got there is you've got the situation of other top sides will also want A teams, which I don't think is a bad thing. Like, I would like to see, you know, we've got the under-20 rugby championship, we've got the rugby championship. Why not have like an A rugby championship per se? But then like that takes away from your provincial teams as well, doesn't it? But it would still be great experience. Auckland have managed to hold on 24-17. There's Pedza. Big collision at scrum time. Malofipo still off the field for another 100 seconds. Japan just outside of their 22. Great attack and run again from Riley. Gets the offload away. Japan at the moment making it look easy. The way that they are finding their teammates. Now going to the right-hand side. Fujiwara. Just get the first pass in. Drop ball from Dylan Riley. Now going back across to the right-hand side. Malani Matavao. Currently on the halfway line. Oh, big shot into the midsection. Right, the advantage is over. I think the ref just spanked Matavao. That's the first time I've seen that. It looks like now he's going to consider going for the box kick. Was a controversial end to Auckland versus Northland. What happened? Bad's the Blaze. I know that there were some interesting moments throughout Tasman-Wellington that I got to see, but I didn't get to see the end of that Northland-Auckland matchup. I'd assume with the fact that they were only separated by 7. Oh, that's another big shot coming in from Sama Malolo. He has decided, oh, geez, that looked illegal. And yes, it was. Diving in off the feet was Uluvetti. So now the penalty does go the way of Samoa. XV comp will be better than A's teams, like ABs have an All Blacks XV side right. Says Panther Blaze. I know that they have had one before, but that normally, like, they only get a very rare occasion that they play. Like, I think the last time they played was probably the Japan XV game, which was a little while. I just saw Ben O'Keefe talking to them on the goal line about a try or no try. Says Annoy. Ooh. Was that for Northland? Annoy? Sounds like they're going to have a water break here as well. They have mentioned about the heat that they are playing in, so they have plenty of hydration like we are about to. Hi, Hamish and everyone in the chat. Guys, I miss you. Guys, upload every day for YouTube. Says Brandon. Is that yourself uploading every day or myself uploading every day, Brandon? Yeah, it's been a bit weird, though. We haven't had a lot of videos coming out. I think we only had 3 this week, which has been not that many. Which sounds weird, because 3 is quite a few, but by our standard, it's a bit lower. If I think for Northland to equal, I ended up with a 7-pointer. And Yo-Yo Brandy, how are you, brother? Myself, says Brandon. But you can always, have little breaks. That's what I'd tell you. I've had a break this week. It's been quite nice. We've got a big one coming up. We've got the Rugby Championship games next week, the Pacific Nations Cup, the URC, the Curry Cup final, all taking place. Luckily, no Ranfurly Shield Challenge, though, because I've been wanting to cover one of those, and then every time it gets to it, I haven't been able to cover the games. Right, water break does look like it is over. We are a quarter of the way through this game. We have already had a total of 4 tries being scored. A good crowd for this contest, even in the heat. My pedal, lol, sorry. I'm getting old by now. This is Brandon, but it looks like it is going to be a line out here for the Samoans with Sama Malolo. Now, I'm sure he was glad that they had a water break, but at the same time, there's a knock-on there from Samoa. I had a feeling that could happen, because sometimes you just get into your rhythm of momentum. And don't push yourself, man. In a break, come chill here. Says Pedza. It's going to be the knock-on from Samoa, but yeah, they did go to the front there, and it was just a little bit too far out in front of Theo McFarland. Up having a little bit of contact before he was able to fully catch that ball. Now scrum feed from inside of their 22. Excellent. So here's a Brandon game. Fujiwara. Ball in for the Japanese, who currently are looking very strong throughout this first 21 minutes. Their set piece has been working very nicely. Running off the back here, it's Makisi. Back into the pocket again. And Tatakawa does get that ball into touch. Throughout this Japan side, they've got a lot of changes compared to what we normally see, which is really good because Eddie Jones, he's trying to build that depth for Japan, trying to do what he couldn't for the Australians. That was a good line out, but okay, Samoa weren't back 10 metres, so they do have to throw it again. Line out accuracy so far throughout this Pacific Nations Cup, 18-1. Only the 6th loss is 75%, and that one's going to be another one lost. Going to be the knock-on advantage, though. Favour of Japan. Nice attack and run forward from Tuitama. The advantage is over for the knock-on. They are passing out their back line. Riley tries the little grubber in behind. It's going to be cleaned up nicely by Alofipo, who is back out on the field after his yellow card. Akiseuli. Across to the right-hand side. Now back again, Malani Matavao. Oh, short shot. Coming in from Japan, although I think they were offside there by the sounds of it. Fakatava, the man who was rushing up. They've got the short side to play with. Theo McFarlane flicks it out the back door to Tuna Tuitama. Sits down 2 players. Gets his offload away, and they'll go back for the penalty now. No, I'm loving it playing games and sharing my thoughts. Been having so much fun. And Hamish, you know, you can just call just Brandon, not Brandon Game. Says Brandon. I will try my best to remember. Looks like there's a bit of an injury here for the halfback, Fujiwara. Japan looks like he is struggling a little bit. Eddie Jones not looking too happy at the moment. Going to take on the shot by the sounds of it. Tuitama already having a really good impact throughout the early stages of this game. He has already scored a try as well, I should mention. The only try for Samoa, but they have opted to go for the 3. Northland needs to win this game. I think they have already lost up against Auckland, if I am correct there. Sadly, for the Northlanders. The Tani Wha, as they're called. Well, I'm going to adjust this again. There we go. Hopefully that's got rid of some of the weirdness. Now Rodney Yorna. Ready to line this kick up for the Samoans. To get them just that little bit further back into this match. And he struck it well. It's gone over. 21 points to 10 now for the Samoans. So some Japanese supporters also wearing the Samoan kit, showing support to the away side in this matchup. And no chance to making it to the top 8, just like the Warriors. Says Brandon. The Warriors not quite backing up that season that they had last year, did they? But then that's the thing. Like, everyone was saying how, like, after last year, they were saying the Warriors shouldn't be the only New Zealand side. But then they went and finished as low as they did this year. Now I feel like a lot of people are realising that at the moment New Zealand just don't have enough good players, per se, to be able to put together another side. But that doesn't mean that they won't at some point. Another knock on from Samoa. These hot conditions, the hands get slippery. Already seen 5 from Samoa and 3 from Japan, but 11 points difference between these two teams. To be fed in again by Fujiwara. Did have a bit of an injury to his leg earlier on in the game, but he looks like he's all right now. Moving quite well at the back of the scrum, going off to this right-hand side now. Flat, and that's going to be a knock-on, I believe, by the Japanese. Great pickup from Alani Matavao. Tries to kick him behind. Cleaned up by Alofipo. Was extremely close to putting his hand into touch. Now back into the pocket for Tomasi Alosio. Cross kick attempted by Rodney Horner, and it has gone out. Japan now will have themselves the line out. A little bit scrappy from both sides just in that moment. Samoa, they've had quite a few options at 10. Rodney Horner hasn't done too badly throughout this game. He's got both of his kicks over, which is a massive bonus. Japan is in 3 from 3. Oh, big bump off from Amato Fakatava. It's on another big man, Fipolei. Now going for the box kick here for the Japanese. It's going to be an awkward one, but well taken at the back. An attack and run from Tomasi Alosio. Should mention Nigel Wong not actually with the Samoan side. He was playing for Auckland a little bit earlier on in the Bunnings NPC. Another big shot from Japan's defence, which has held solid throughout this contest, with the exception of the one. Good evening, says Norman. Welcome in. If you are keeping well. Show Springbok squad, and I need to know where was you before I make any call. Oh, that's a nice take. I show Springbok squad, and I need to know where was you before I make any call. As in, like, when I did that video, it was a slightly different backdrop. I didn't have the green screen for that one, but that's going to be nicely stolen in the penalty, going the way of the Samoans. And they will now have the opportunity to line up maybe another kick at the post, just slowly work away at this total. It's almost an awkward landing for, in fact, I think it was for Tuna Tuitama. Rodney Horner again is going to go for the kick at the post. And their discipline starting to creep in a little bit, something that they do not want to have a problem with. 28 minutes into this contest. This will make the score 21-13. When you do 15 to 20 and search and destroy on COD Mobile, you are good. Says Pads Ablaze. Right. Okay. I assume that's what you do then. I went 15 for none. Says Pads Ablaze. Rodney Horner. Now getting ready to line this kick up. Now once again, 10 seconds left. Kick it, says Novmum. And he's kept it nice and low there, and it has gone straight over for Rodney Horner. So now 21 points to 13 in this one. It does just seem like they want to get as many extra points as they can. I think they've just mentioned that Samuel Slade has made his way from the field. That is a massive, massive hit to this Samoan side. Now getting ready to drop kick this one again. It is Sean Sun Lee. It's it high. And slap back for Samoa. In fact, it came off the Japanese hand, so it will be a knock-on advantage now for the Samoans. They're inside of the 22, so this one can go out on the full. It looks like Matavao will take it on himself rather than going back into the pocket. He's taken to the back for Japan. Running it forward, it is Sean Sun Lee. Gets through one, but is tackled in the second by Sama Malolo. Oh, big bump off again from Fakatava. He has real physicality out there on the field. If the kicker took any longer, I would be 50. Says Novmum there. Yeah, I think both kickers are taking as much time as they can, but it's extremely hot in Tokyo, so I think it's not so much that they're doing it for themselves, but it's more so they're doing it so that their forwards can recover a little bit. To the left-hand side now. Oh, quick hands. Dylan Riley manages to get that pass out wide. Was it forward? Referee says no. Here comes Amato Fakatava again. Fujiwara. Short ball to Warner Durns. Solid defense from the Samoa. Samoa Malolo has put in some huge hits so far throughout this contest. And then locking over the ball, and Samoa win the penalty. Slowly managed to take some sort of momentum back, but they do need another try, I think, before the end of this first half. Hamish Simmons coming back in 4 months' time, says Brandon. It's a little way away for the Sevens, although it's less than 4 months, because I know that there is the leg that's happening on my birthday weekend. Because I know, one moment, I think it's Dubai. I'll have a quick look though. Sevens Rugby. Let's see what we've got. I think it might only be a couple months to the first one. With a little bit of luck. 2025 announced for Dubai. When are we? The 30th of November to the 1st of December is Dubai, so that's in 75 days for the first Sevens event. But would it? Why would it be called mobile when you can use a controller? See, here's Pads Blaze. I mean, that's a great run. And getting very close to the line for Samoa. I think he's almost on the line there. He might be just short. In fact, is the call, so now they have to use their forwards just a little bit more here, Samoa. But with a try here, they'll be within one. No, it's called held up. I think they want to check it, though. Or at least the Samoans are hoping that they will. Is there 20-minute red cards in this competition? It is indeed, yep. So, yeah, slightly shorter than the old law. 20 minutes, and then you can switch another player in. They also do have marks from a kickoff as well, which is something a little bit unique that they are trialling. That looked very close to being over the try line, but they did straight away say no try held up. Samoa now going to be 40 metres out after Japan have done the goal line drop out. Tuituitama getting held up, excellent. But battle go back to rugby. Then COD Mobile says, what's there from Brandon? And that is going to be called as a scrum now. Warner Dearns getting on to Tuituitama and holding him up, not allowing their ball to pop out. I wanted to talk around the town about Rays and the ABs. What are the newspapers saying? Hamish, says Cameron K. I have no idea. I don't read a newspaper. I don't even really look at the news, to be honest. I was hoping to find out what the squad was heading to Australia, but they said they were announcing it like 2 or 3 days ago, and then they didn't. But I think they have now, but yeah. Like, I know that there'll still be some that don't like it. Like, some of the people who were begging to have Razor in the coaching box are now the ones begging for him to get sacked. But that just shows you how fickle some people are in terms of their, like, how quickly they'll change loyalty. But it's one of those ones, it's not the best start. But if you look at Fozzie's start as well, it's actually, Razor has had a worse start than Fozzie. But then saying that, like, Razor has had to face the Springboks twice after they have won back-to-back World Cups. Razor has also had a very competitive England that he had to face. So, like, there is a difference, but I can see why people are a little bit concerned. They thought that the selections would be slightly different, and they're pretty much the same as what Ian Foster did do most of the time. Fozzie had the easier games to start with, says Cameron K. Now that one's going to be fed in by Fujiwara. Going to the short side. Was it deliberately knocked down? Yes, it was, unfortunately, for Milani Matavao, but it is just called as a knock-on. So it is going to be another scrum feed now for the Samoans. Milani Matavao, 20 international matches. He's had a lot more in the 7 side of things. Whether or not he will be in Dubai or whether he will be signed with the side. Oh, okay, it's actually going to become a penalty for a deliberate knockdown. I do want Razor, then get rid of them after only lost 2 times. He real says Brandon. And Bulldogs are leading 16-6 over the Sea Eagles, 16-6 after 36 minutes. Says Pads Ablaze. 5 minutes remaining in this first half. Seonson Lee. Kick it into touch. This will be around the halfway line. And yeah, just an extended arm of Milani Matavao. Not in a position to be able to catch that one. That is why he has had a penalty against him rather than just it being a knock-on. So far, 6 against Samoa in this game. It's going to be overthrown. That is a massive shot coming in. Again from Sama Malolo. And Samoa have managed to rip it away. And then they just knock it on in the moment that matters most. Turnover was clean, said the ref, but then knocked on by Marco Fipolei. I don't think Rays will go 1 out of 3 at the end of year tour. Says Cameron K. 1 out of 3. So I assume you're not counting their games up against Japan and Italy in that case. I'd assume you're counting Ireland. They got Ireland, France, and Scotland, I want to say, but I could be wrong. When you're doing Bunnings NBC, please? Probably not this year, unfortunately, just because of the overlaps that we normally have in terms of not just like other streams, but more so when I'm sleeping so that I can do the late night streams. Osada. Now getting it to ground. And England, Ireland, and France. Says Cameron K. And 4 out of 5. Says Brandon. Now going off to the left-hand side here, Fujiwara. Going off to the left-hand side, Dylan Riley. Once again, a missed pass. It seems like Japan is starting to have a lot more errors when Samoa are putting more pressure on. Maybe that is because of the physicality that is coming from this Manu Samoa side. It's like they're making Japan hesitate when it comes to those passes. Locked over the ball, Theo McFarland does end up with a penalty against him. Okay, no clear. Okay, that was a fair point by Theo McFarland. So pretty much they've penalised him for not releasing in the tackle. And he went, I wasn't the tackler. But then I think Paul Williams in the end said, you assisted with the tackle. Turbo still sucked like usual. Although it's got France and England and Ireland and Italy and Wales and Italy, I think. Says Brandon, I'm not counting the Italy and Japan games. If the ABs struggle with those games, then there are some serious problems. Says Cameron K. Nice attack and run from Dylan Riley again. Had a lot of meters made throughout the early stages of this match. Now Japan going off to the right-hand side. Skip pass, little loop around play. Amato Vakatava in open space is always a danger for the sides defending him. Fujiwara tries to milk the penalty. Referee says no. Off to the left-hand side again. 10 metres from the line. Short ball, Fujiwara, they wanted the offload. They couldn't get it out. And another 59-19 hiding. I think I should support another team. Passed out wide. Japan managed to score it again. And it's now their 4th. We've definitely slowed down in the speed of tries that have been scored, but we are still getting quite a few. That is now the 6th try. Oh, sorry, the 5th try of the half. It's Yunsun Lee. Managed to score it for Japan, but good attack and play. Just phase after phase and almost busting through the gap. Just the quick hands. Out to Yunsun Lee. Neki lad now. If the turbo says pads ablaze, they might eventually get good. You know, it's just gonna take them a while. Right, referee just making sure that there is going to be time for a restart. I believe they have still got a minute remaining of this half. Hello, this is Amelia. And Yunsun Lee again brings it round. Gets that nice little curl from right to left. Goes through the post now, making the score 28 points to 13. I love that joke from you. Says I've had some plays. A lot of support in the stands for this Japanese side. They love nothing more than being able to face Fiji in the final. You sure about that? Says Pads Ablaze, what we talking about? Samoa, they have one more kick of this half, more than likely. Only 6 seconds remaining. Do you think the Pacific nations should hold a North versus Europe type tournament, like Japan, Samoa, Tonga, Fiji versus Portugal, Georgia, Romania, Italy, maybe? I think if you take Italy out and you find someone else, I'm trying to work out who you, no, I was going to say Belgium, but maybe not. Maybe Germany? Spain? Spain actually could be a good option. Okay, they're going to kick it into touch there, Japan. Going into halftime with a 15-point lead of 28 points to 13. But now that they've opened up the doors with the Pacific Nations Cup involving America as well as Canada, I feel like maybe there is potential of some sort of secondary world league, because we know that in a couple years' time, I believe it is, we're going to see all the Six Nations sides versus all the rugby championship sides. And then also alongside that, you've got 2 extra that are also going to be added to that competition. So maybe we could see like a top 12 and then like a secondary 12 or something like that. Only good thing we have is the bucket heads. Security guys try to get rid of them permanently. Says a bad blaze. A half time in this contest. High scoring one. 28 points to 13. Like I mentioned, so much rugby has taken place over this weekend. There is a lot on next weekend as well. We are covering, hopefully, as long as there's no overlaps, we're going to be doing the URC games that we can involving the South African sides. We're going to hopefully do the Currie Cup final, which we sadly didn't get to do either of the semis. We are going to be covering the Pacific Nations Cup final. Also, the Rugby Championship, the 2 games that are taking place. Also, do you think of the outgoings IRB president and this new guy from Australia gets a job, he will push for the Nations Cup again? Once again, no idea, to be honest. I feel like I don't really look into the behind-the-scenes stuff as much as I possibly should. I more so just watch the rugby and look at the teams, to be honest. Like, without that, like, kind of background knowledge of who's going in and out of boards and everything like that. But hopefully, you know, as long as they can find a way of keeping the sport of rugby growing, that's probably the main thing they've got to do, and keeping competitive games taking place. Because if you lose that, then you lose quite a bit. They're trying to sell me a cruise on like a skinny ship down a canal at the moment, it would seem, but I don't think we're going to get ourselves one of those. In terms of the first half, Japan, we've seen some great work from Amato Fakatava, really cementing himself as a great option in that number 6 jersey. Of course, he can also play lock. Seen a bit of the halfback, Fujiwara, and with his slight injury, South Africa games the next week in the URC have been postponed to January 2025 due to Currie Cup final. Has it actually, Johan? If it has, thank you very much for that information, because I was sitting here thinking that it was a bit... Oh, no, postponed time to be determined. Fair play. Thank you very much for that information. Have we got a time for the Currie Cup final then? Yeah, because the last I checked, 2 a.m. We can do that, I think. Yeah, surely. Oh, geez, they just postponed it by the looks of it. Like about an hour ago, was it? Just right when they woke up. Maybe? Or was it a little while ago? I might be looking at the wrong article, but thank you very much for that information, Johan. I was wondering when they were going to play it, because I know that for the URC, it was supposed to be one game at about 4 p.m. South African time and then another game at about 6 p.m. South African time, which was just going to mean that unless you went really early or the next day, it wasn't going to be a chance. The Bulls and Stormers is not postponed, only the Sharks-Lions game. Or is it a little bit of a half and half? Hang on. We're going to... Oh, no, it says the Bulls and Stormers is also postponed. Is there anyone... I'm trying to think of the teams. Is there anyone who plays for one Currie Cup team but then plays for a different URC team? That's probably what they're trying to avoid, I would say. In terms of like certain players not being able to play for their other teams, even though I think all Currie Cup sides are normally pretty regional overall. We're not too far away from the second half in this contest. In terms of that backline, though, for Japan as well, Dylan Riley, he's had some really good moments. Seunson Lee, good off the kicking tee. And then also for the Samoans, Tuna Tuitama managing to score himself. I'm reading the schedule now. Doesn't say postponed. It's postponed. It says the game will go ahead at 6:15 South African time. Says Cameron. I feel like we better... I'll check the website as well and see what I can see. We'll go here, rounds. I guess it would make sense if they were playing each other that they might as well, like, not delay that other one. Like Like, unless there are players. What do we got? We got round 1. Yeah, they haven't got them on the URC website, is the only thing. So I think with the exception of, by the looks of it, with the exception of the Stormers website, like you said, everything else seems to not have it. But either way, if it doesn't overlap with that Curry Cup final, we will, of course, be covering it as well. Pacific Nations Cup should have Māori All Blacks and Australia A in it, maybe even a California-based team, says Zion. I mean, you could look at maybe some sort of MLR side, but then at the same time, you got to be very careful that you don't add too many sides that can't compete in it. But, you know, any sort of expanded competition is always good. I feel like in some regards, I wish the Pacific Nations Cup, I understand why they couldn't, but it would have been great to see everyone play everyone. Just, you know, see Fiji play the USA as well as Canada, as well as Japan, to find out who are the top 2. Maybe that gets rid of your semi-finals, but then at the same time, you know, you still have that final. Sucks that the Black Caps test match was rained off. I would have watched it. Says Panzer, yeah. Definitely because it's up against India, which is one of those ones that, like, you know, it's always a big game when it takes place. Did you already discuss the rumoured premiership teams to the URC thing? What do you think of it, says Joseph? It will be interesting to see if it actually takes place. I know that there's always rumours, because, like, how long have we had that rumour of South Africa joining the Six Nations? But it's whether or not they actually pull the trigger on it, you know, and whether they are willing to give it a crack. It wasn't India. Oh, sorry, no, it was up against Afghanistan, wasn't it? My bad. It was in India, I think. I'm correct. The next one starts on the 18th. The URC did deny the rumours, but I feel once these seeds have been planted, there'll be more and more discussions. Says Cameron K. And hi, it's been a long time since I've seen the Kiwi lads on the live stream. Really missed hearing your voice there, Hamish. Says Simran, welcome in. Hope you are keeping well. You have been enjoying the rugby that has been taking place. Although, to be fair, New Zealand have been losing quite a few games since the last time we saw you. So that's probably not ideal. Hello again. Where you been so long since you was here? Says I've had some blaze in there as well. But second half of this contest, not too far away, ladies and gents. 28 points to 13 at the moment. Seen the yellow card of Alofipo. Seen some decent moments from Ayakopo Patelo Mapu. The sneeze is not a part of his name, I should say. That's just me, unfortunately. Back into the hay fever. Sama Malolo has also put in some very big hits throughout this game. And we're going to see some of the stats. 480 metres made for the Samoans. 105 tackles made by Japan compared to the 39 of Samoa. Penalties and handling errors are both against Japan. 7 against them in the penalties. 6 handling errors, 4 and 4 for Samoa. So those stats say that Samoa should be leading. But Japan have made the difference because they've been scoring tries when they've had the chance. We have got there. I've been busy with uni. It's my last year and it's been a crazy one. I'm watching from the Otago Uni Library as a little break from my work. Says Simran there. The action area, 70% possession for the Samoans alongside 59% territory in this one. So every stat, like I said, it seems like Samoa were winning. And if you looked at the stats, you'd say that Samoa should be winning 28-13, but it's reversed. And they need to get some more early points, 15 points difference at the moment, but both sides just about to make their way back out of the tunnel. Get us ready for the second half. We'll just quickly check how long we've had. Those are ad breaks, so that's good. Right, we've had about 10 minutes since the end of the half. What do you think of this Lucy's combo? Artie to 7, Satiti at 6, and Satutu at 8. However, where do you make room for Tosi? These guys are massive. I really do believe Razors should invest them. Although Pasilio Tosi might have a better chance now because of Fletcher Null's injury. It means that there's a chance that we see more Tosi minutes for the upcoming games. I think that I mentioned it on my All Blacks XV video for the Rugby Championship, these last 2 games. And I went with a little bit of a bolter, and I went with a wild card that they weren't actually going to do, but I thought it was worth mentioning, which was I actually added Peter Lakai into that 7 jersey. I had Satiti at 6, and then I kept Ardie Savia at number 8 because they seemed very hesitant to put Savia back to 7. So I mentioned, you've got a youngster in Peter Lakai who I think could take on that number 7 jersey and do extremely well. I think at the moment maybe he's got a bit of a knee injury. Like, he's still playing rugby each and every week for Wellington, but he just looks a little bit slower at the moment, like he's kind of nursing a bit of a leg injury of some sort. But at the same time, like, I'd still have him in. I think he's a decent enough player. He's a young prospect. Him and Satiti. Like, we're going to quickly do some Googling. How old's Peter Lakai? He can't be a day over 23. In fact, he might not even be a day over 21. He's 21. He is born on the 4th of March, 2003. So he's 21 years of age. When you look at Wallace Satiti, he's also extremely young. Like 22 maybe. Yeah, he's 22. 7th of September, 2002. So he's actually recently turned 22. And then you've got Ardie Savia, who's like the older guy in the trio, who would be 30 years of age, who still probably has another World Cup under him. But I think that could be a trio that works. I think Razor should be thinking of a 23-man team and not 15 players. That's what Rassi is doing. He's looking at the 23-man team that will play on the day. Here's Cameron Kay there. I'm trying to think. If you were going to make a really young loose forward trio, how old's Braden Yorset? He could be your 8. If he was... He's 26. He's actually older than I thought. How old's Hoskins Satutu? He's 26 as well. So you could go with either of those guys as your number 8, eventually. I'd rather have Ardie at 7, Satiti at 8, and Dossi at 3, I assume that is. I'm not a big fan of Satutu. He's not as good as people think he is because of how dominant the Blues 4-pack was, but that's my opinion. I was thinking about this on a car ride home today, and I was wondering about that. I was thinking to myself, I don't think I would ever make a video, right? But I kind of wanted to review Hoskins Satutu's tries of the season and kind of give them a scale of 1 to 10 about how strong they were. Because a lot of people looked at Satutu's season and saw, I can't even remember, I think it was like 12 tries and everyone went, wow. But a lot of those tries were actually only a metre out that he's just had a pick and go. There were some good ones in there, but when you compare that to someone else in that loose forward trio, such as, I don't know, Braden Yorset, you look at some of the tries he scored here to run them in from very far out. There's a difference in some regards, but I still think that Satutu, if he puts his head down and he works, he has potential of making it into the All Blacks, because the biggest thing you've got to do if you've been denied is try and prove them wrong. And like Satutu, he's been playing well for Counties Manukau, and you've got to be ready for your opportunity if you are match fit. If you're rearing to go and you're in form, there is a chance that eventually you get that call up to try and have that real impact. I believe they need to protect Mighty Williams. That guy gives Ox Nishat a massive battle. Lomax, such a massive game that he and Bongi were taken off very early in the last test. Says Cameron Kay. I've been doing good. Been recently doing a lot of golf. Says Bad to Blaze. The second half, very close to starting, ladies and gents. I think we're probably about a minute away. They might have a slightly longer halftime break because of the heat. I see someone with a USB fan plugged in. I'm not sure what it's plugged into, though. Both sides making their way out of the tunnel now. They will need a big half for Samoa if they want any chance of facing the Fijians just around the corner in the Pacific Nations Cup final. 32 degrees Celsius. 6, I would have Braden. Sears, Pads ablaze. Although your only downside of Braden Yorset at 6, I think, is his size. I know that people always make a big deal of having a large 6. That's where, if Summer Penny Fee now can actually get going, and play some good rugby. He's only 25. He just needs a couple big games at international level, I believe, to give him that confidence. Because I don't think he's found that yet. I feel like he goes into international games and slightly disappears. Both teams in the huddle. Just about ready to go for the second half. 15 points, like I said. Trust me, I know him. Size isn't a problem. That sounds like but you're talking about like his height, Pads, or you've seen something else of him that you're saying his size isn't the problem. He's very solid and a hard runner. Says Vans of Blaze. He is, but if you're going to have Savia in your loose forward trio, I feel like he's kind of that guy who's a little bit smaller. And then you've got you normally have the two big guys with him, if that makes sense. Like someone like a Cullen Grace, he even gets called a little bit too small, and I think he weighs quite a bit more than Braden Yossi for that number 6 jersey. Speaking of number 6s, Amato Fakatava, another carry for him. They are inside of their 22 currently for the Japanese, and they will look to kick this one towards the touch line, and it's gone out. Beautifully done. Samoa thought about taking it quickly. They decide against it. It's going to be the line out for Samoa Malolo. He's actually had a relatively solid game with the line outs. I won't say it's been perfect because there has still been a few mistakes. He is more a complete player though, says Pads Ablaze. Yeah, but in the Razor era, it's just whether or not he gets the chance. Because I don't even know if we're going to see Peter Lakai in the Razor era, even though a lot of people feel like he could be a very good option. But it's based off the mold. He likes Blackadder because he's been with him at the Crusaders. It's like how David Havili keeps making the squad, even though if you watch him in that game between Tasman and Wellington, he looks like he hasn't touched a rugby ball in his life at times. So, you know, in the Razor era, he will still have his favourites, and I feel like a few of those Hurricanes guys just aren't in his favourites list at the moment. No one will give Ox a hard time. That was only squad rotation, says ETH. Now going to be another line out here. Harada. Maybe Lakai could also be in 6 as well. Possibly. I think he prefers 7 and 8, though, is the only thing for Peter Lakai. But he's actually bulked up big time over the off-season. Golf is not fun anymore. I've been playing hide and seek with the boys in the Australian drain system, about 200 feet down. Says Multiverse. Fair play. If you want to up it to the next level, though, play Sardines. If you don't know what that is, you're missing out. That's going to be now the penalty going the way of Samoa, 50 metres out from the line. I don't think they'll take on the 3 from here. I feel like you're better off going for that line out. Rodney Orna has the ball in hand. 7 penalties against the Samoans compared to the 5 of Japan. That was actually the opposite at halftime when they showed the stats. Ball's got now for Rodney Orna. Now another line out. Samoa Malolo. He will be ready to go here. Eddie Jones intently leaning, looking through the glass. 1-8 line out so far for Samoa. Make that number 9. Hamish the Sardine similar to Diaper Paintball? Probably not. I think Diaper Paintball sounds very different. Sardine's pretty much hide and seek, except when you find the person, you got to hide with them as well. I think they've got another name for it in other places, but I'm not too sure what that is. I don't think it's Diaper Paintball, though. Little kick in behind from the Japanese. Ball sits up, needs the pass, and he finds it. Beautifully done. Another offload for Japan. Massive fend, and they score the try. That is a spectacular bit of work. Shimokawa, the man who gets the reward. But that is a team try from Japan. 33 points to 13. Hyunsun Lee gets the kick in behind, and then Osada is there. Gets his offload. Didn't look like he was going to be able to keep it alive. That looked close to forward, but I don't think we're going to see the angle again. That does show it. A really good team try. Yeah, that last offload. I don't know if it was forward. It looked close to it, but we don't get to see it. Diaper Paintball is at the Gold Coast. Sardine sounds like the game my uncle used to play with me. Says Multiverse. No, you need more than 2 people. Or else it's just hide and seek 1v1, isn't it? It's not quite the same. Now kicking this one at the post. Hyunsun Lee again has got it. Now making the score 35 points to 13. Crowd are very happy with what they have seen so far. Japan have had a really good, consistent run of putting together a lot of points in each of their games. I don't even think I've said Nicholas McCurran's name, who I believe is playing at 12 for Japan in this game. We've seen a lot of Dylan Riley. So much of McCurran on the inside. Now Rodney Ona is going to be ready to kick this one off. Let's go high and deep with it. Nicely taken there for the Fijian. Number 8. That's, of course, Makesi. About 250 men in diapers just chasing each other around the bush in diapers. Awesome fun. Says Multiverse. So do you at least have, like, paintball, like, things involved? Because that just sounds like you're just having a weird game of tag with 250 blokes in diapers. I assume that you play paintball while you're doing it, though. More than likely. Marcia Alosio throwing in just the knock on from Adolfipo. It's actually weird seeing Adolfipo with the number on his back that he has here. Seen a lot of these guys with different numbers when they've played 7s. Sub for Samoa. Just be a maiden now. High fives all around by the looks of it. There's no paintball guns. We're told be paintball, but they just gave us diapers. So here's Multiverse. Oh well, at least you're having fun. How do you know who wins? And how do you know when the game's over? You just go home when you're tired. Just give up. You go, nah, that's me. Sorry, boys. Bathroom break wouldn't be a problem though. You just go, couldn't you? Now going to the left-hand side. That's a forward pass, and that's also a knock-on out wide for Japan. Another chance at scrum time. Dylan Riley not happy about it. In fact, both of them aren't happy about it. I'm confused because the guy out on the wing also still knocked the ball on. So even if it wasn't a forward pass, it's still not their ball. Still going to be Samoa's either way. Scrum feed. This one will be 35 metres from the line for the Samoans. We didn't need to use the bathroom because we had diapers on that were full. So it was all right. That were full. So you had to start with a full diaper or you had to like get one filled up as you went. Part of the challenge. Going to the side, Malani Matavao. Short ball to Rodney Ona. Almost had the man on the inside, Tunatui Tama, but he decides against using him. Instead finds Sama Malolo. Matavao. Back across again to the right-hand side. Stepping coming in from the number 12, Leula. That was a big yawn. To the left, Sama Malolo again. 25 metres out from the line. Matavao. Leua. Lalomilo. Quick hands. Oh, it's another knock on though. From these Samoans, that's their own worst enemy at the moment, just not being able to hold that ball. Theo McFarland has to do better than that. They had a number out on the outside as well. I think it was number 11 in this case, Alofipo, waiting for the ball. Just needed it to be shifted on. Couldn't get it. I should mention, ladies and gentlemen, we will have a video later on today. While I remember, it is the Springboks lineup prediction. They have shrunk their side a little bit for their game up against Argentina. We will be predicting who they put in the side for that contest. And then after that, we will also have our Springboks XV of what we would like to see if it was up to us. Then we've also got the All Blacks later on in the week that we will be doing the same thing for. Nice short ball. That's a big shot coming in from Leua. I hardly mentioned that man's name throughout the rest of this game, and now I've mentioned him 3 times in 2 minutes. Another knock on from Japan. Not a clean half so far from either of these sides. Just error after error coming through. Sounds like there is an injury. Nobody else wants to participate in the diaper paintball talk. Says Multiverse. It doesn't seem that way. I think you scared everyone away. Muti. I keep calling you Multi, but you don't actually have an L in your name, do you? Unless you take the line that you've got and then tip it sideways and move it. You know? Samoa Lolo. I think this has been one of the best games we've seen him play. And it seems harsh in a way because Samoa are losing by so much, but he hasn't really done too much wrong throughout this contest. His lineouts have been a lot better than they normally are. And overall, you know, running the ball hard. Also managing to make some big tackles. We all participated in the GOAT talk about 3 weeks ago. What's going on, guys? Says Multiverse for tackles. So far, we have seen Japan make 113 compared to the 53 of Samoa. We've seen 15 tackles missed by the Japanese and 12 for Samoa. Still 30 minutes left. Hopefully one of these two sides can start getting a little bit of a momentum shift soon. All right, I'm going to get off now. Thank you for the stream. It was good to see you. Have a good rest of the evening and night. See you for the rest of the rugby chants. Much love, brother. See you, Pads and Blades. So hopefully you do enjoy the rest of your week. Of course, plenty coming up this weekend. A few videos throughout the week as well, all about those games. But yeah, hopefully we catch you next weekend. Another good carry forward for Akiseuli. Numbers for Samoa. Murphy Taramai. Tackled low. Now passed on the outside. In fact, it might have been Murray, in fact, who did have that ball. Another big run. No, it was Murphy Taramai. Actually, now I think about it. Oh, nice ball on the inside. Alofipo, big fin coming in from Milani Matavao. And Samoa have been able to break through. They still have a long way to go. They're 17 points down currently. But if they can score 3 tries in 30 minutes, they would put themselves in a great position to at least be close in this game. Can't believe people thought that it was going to be a Fiji versus Samoa final. Says Multiverse. Yeah, it would have been a massive task for Samoa to win this game in Japan. But, you know, people, they were optimistic. And, you know, it's still going to be a lot of work, but couple quick tries, we're back in it in that regard in terms of having a game right down to the wire. Done a lot of yawning today. I do apologise for that. 9 seconds remaining. Rodney Ona of his shot clock. Like I mentioned earlier on, both sides using up as much time as they can just to allow their forwards to regroup and rest a little bit in these 32 degrees Celsius conditions that one has gone over from Rodney Ona. And that is now going to make the score 35 points to 20. Still a long way to go. Still 3 tries needed. So Japan have also decided to make a couple of switches now. Good afternoon from Kiwi in Tokyo. Go Japan, says Ashley. Yeah, they've been looking really strong throughout this game. Amato Fakatava in that number 6 jersey has been putting in some crazy hits as well as some fantastic runs. Going to be carried back in by Milani Matavao, running on to this one. Beautifully taken by Theo McFarlane. Low tackle made by the Japanese defence, but now they have to scramble as the pass has gone out wide. Beautifully sits up. One more on the outside. Tuna Tuitama puts it down again. He's getting looked at by his teammate. Lucio doesn't even want to look at him. There's some tension in that Samoan backline. Everyone just dropping the ball. And Tomasi Alucio was looking at him as if to say, why did that happen? Now it gives Japan another opportunity to throw this one back in. Play nicely. Tatakawa will kick it downfield looking for the 50-22, but Samoa are back there to be able to cover. Here comes Tomasi Alucio. Be considering running it himself rather than trying to pass that ball. I reckon Japan will edge Fiji in the finals. Fiji have been looking rough Says Zion. Now short ball from Rodney Ona. Matavao. Away to Yona. It's going to be partially charged down. Kicking back downfield for the Japanese. Getting some good distance on it. Ball bouncing awkwardly 5 metres from the Samoan line. Rodney Ona. A lot of time to work with. Does manage to put it into touch about 30 metres out from Manu Samoa's line. Or does he? Nope. Maybe not. I think the touch judge may have said that went a lot further back than it did. Throwing it in again. Going off to the right-hand side. Great skip pass to Dylan Riley. Definitely one of the man-of-the-match contenders in this matchup. Another good attacking run from the open side flank. Good morning, Hamish. Says Grant. Welcome in, mate. Hope you are keeping well. That's a short ball. It has been put down by Japan. In fact, it's been put down by Samoa. And that's now being knocked on by Japan. A lot of knock-ons. And that's lasted a while. Going to be the scrum for the Japanese. They are currently 15 points ahead in this match. So one more try could be the difference maker. Secure them a spot up against the Fijians. Who got Samoa score, says Mark. So we have seen the try from Tuna Tuitama as well as that most recent try that did get scored just before. And that was Malani Matavao. But yeah, just the 2 tries and then also the 2 extras that they got from the 3-pointers. Seen 11 handling errors, though, from Samoa. It could have been many more tries if they had held on to that ball just a little bit more securely. A ball's fed in by Japan. It's a big push at scrum time, but going in behind here for the Japanese. Finding the offload to Osada. He has also managed to score today. The ball bounces out the side. Malani Matavao gets it, but they're going back again for another penalty, this time in favour of the Japanese, who take the quick tap. Warner Dearns now, 10 metres from the line. It's going all right so far for Japan, but one more try will put the icing on the metaphorical cake. 5 metres out. Straight out in front of the post as well. Didn't even need Leach in the engine room tonight. Says Zion. And I mean, when you've got Fakatava at number 6, that man has done phenomenally. And you'd almost argue that, if you had to pick between him and Leach, you'd almost pick Fakatava at the moment. In fact, I think you would. Malani Matavao doing good. In 15s, I say, says Mark. Yeah, he's looked really strong in the 9 jersey for the Samoans around the side of the breakdown. Only 3 metres out from the line again. Trying to get over the ball, wasn't quite able to do so. Sniping run, and he's over there. The young number 9, Fujikawa, does get it. Or Fujiwara, I should say. We have got there. I should have live streamed the Curry Cup Semi Final between the Sardines and the Mutants yesterday. Crazy game. I wish I could have. I sadly wasn't at home during that time. We also had to miss USA versus Fiji, which was also, well, it wasn't quite that same finish that other game had. I mean, having 40 points each and then going to golden point time is certainly an impressive one, but hopefully I can catch a replay at some point. Slamming that ball down, scoring the try. Like I just said, the halfback managed to get around the big prop. Fujiwara scoring his first try of the Pacific Nations Cup. That might just about secure the game. Seunson Lee, though, lining up this kick. He's currently 18 from 18 in the Pacific Nations Cup. Now moves up to 19. 42 points to 20. I'll see if I can find a replay for you, Hamish. Says Grant, I won't be surprised if Samoa does an insane comeback. They did Japan in the Rugby World Cup last year, even though they lost. Says Mark, yeah, they may have a strong finish in this game, but I think they've just made it too difficult for themselves here in terms of the amount of points that they're going to require in that short amount of time. I'm just looking through at what we've got in terms of like replays. Curry Cup, I assume they would have a replay somewhere. They got the Pacific Nations Cup replay, so I have to catch one of those possibly, although that's at 4:30 a.m. That's a bit of a rough time. Black Ferns there. What channel would it be on? I'm not too sure what channel they'd have it on for us here in New Zealand. Maybe Sky Sports Select? But nope. Doesn't look like it. Maybe a pop-up channel? Nope. I don't have it there either. You might need to check your scoring, Amish. The screen I'm watching shows it at 42 points to 20. Yeah, I think my scoreboard's got a little bit behind, but Denny Tusitala now makes his way onto the field for Malani Matavao. Now another big run forward for Murphy. Taramai gets the offload away to Denny Tusitala. Another drop ball. Just those little mistakes for Samoa that have heavily cost them throughout this game. Way too many handling errors. Oh, beautiful. Dummy run there on the outside. Tuna Tuitama chips it in behind. Doesn't win the foot race. Dylan Riley does and calls the mark. Under a lot of pressure. Oh, hang on. There's an offside. Looks like they are going to go back for it. Got a bit of work from Dylan Riley. He has been literally everywhere throughout this game. Just had 10 metres made, but I feel like he's had many more than that. On the halfway line, Rodney Ona will again kick this one towards the touchline. And that one has gone into touch. Tilo Tole has made his way onto the field. That is for Sama Malolo. And like I said, probably one of Malolo's best games that we've actually seen him playing in. So a couple more changes being made for Japan as well. Damifusa onto the field. Mapusua also making his way on. The Samoa looping around. Latero Tolai with a short ball goes to Lalo Milo. The left-hand side, Tusitala, and then the ball is dropped by Murphy Taramai. Just too many mistakes. Every time they start to build some sort of momentum, I don't think we've seen Samoa get more than 5 phases throughout this game. In fact, they may have even struggled to get 4 throughout this contest. It's just every time they almost get going, someone drops the ball. Handling errors now up to 12 for Samoa, and you can't beat a side like Japan having 12 handling errors. Japan have had 7 throughout this game, which is still a fair amount to have throughout the 80-minute period, and we've still got 20 minutes to go. Right, they're going to have another water break by the sounds of it. 18 minutes remaining in this matchup. Crowd's still very full by the looks of it, although there are a few empty seats around from that angle on the ends. Overall, crowd that has been very passionate about their Japanese side. Some have let themselves down with those handling errors, says Ashley. Yeah, like their discipline hasn't been the greatest either. I think they've had 8 penalties against them here, but that's still probably better than we've seen from Samoa in recent games. Someone stop feeding Samoa butter, says Hebrew there. Do you think Japan is starting to improve as the years go by, says a reviewer? They've had their ups and downs. Like this Japanese side here that they've got now is very different to what we've seen even just last year or the year prior. You know, there's a lot of names that we would normally see that are missing for them. So that's a good sign that they can still beat sides such as Samoa, such as USA, Canada, and beat them relatively comfortably even without those players that you'd normally see. Sounds like more subs are about to be made. Milani Nanai about to make his way onto the field. Now, I think that's Tim Nanai Williams, if I'm correct. Milani Nanai. And also, Tua Malatai is making his way on, and that is for Fipuleai, who's just gone off. Couple more changes also being made. Costly comes on. And then I want to say they've got one more change. Takahashi, I think it is, in the number 23 jersey. Now, 18 minutes remaining in this contest, and the scrum feed is just about to take place. Makesi is the man who makes his way from the field for Costly. In terms of that Japanese side, I hope Fiji wins the Pacific Nations Cup just to spite Eddie Jones, says Zion. Yeah, depending on where that game is next week, it's going to be a tough one for the Fijians. They're going to have to be on their A game, which I feel like they can do. I'm not too familiar with the Samoan squad. Half of them are from Tier 1 New Zealand clubs, and half of them are from Tier 2 and 3 clubs. Why did Mahondri, I can't say it, Schwalger. I feel like I mispronounced that a little bit. Go with that approach. I think it's just where they are playing, Like, there aren't really many well-known, like, rugby union comps in Samoa. Yes, they've got, like, the club level kind of thing, but not too much in terms of provincial rugby, which is why the Bunnings NPC is quite a good one for feeding Samoa as well as, those Tongan sides. And then you've also got those guys who are playing in Super Rugby Pacific for Moana Pacifica, who are already, familiar with each other and know what they have to do to succeed as a team. Like, Moana Pacifica have caused some really good upsets, and a lot of these guys for Samoa have at least had some sort of opportunity for Moana Pacifica. There's going to be another knock-on from Samoa. Every time, like 3 phases, and then they're down, and they drop the ball again. And it's just the trend at the moment. Handling errors up to 13 for Samoa. Like I said, even Japan having 7 is quite high, but I want to say the conditions maybe are impacting it a little bit because of the slippery ball, because it's hot, but, you gotta do a little bit better than dropping the ball 13 times. Andrew Tuala now making his way on. It's going to be for Aki Seuli. I think they've still got Afa Molele, who they can bring onto the field for the Samoans. I don't think I see Michael Curry either out there on the field yet. Now another scrum. We'll use this back line if they can, going off to the left-hand side. Quick hands there, beautifully done by Japan. Kajimura. Let's get it up to around 40 metres out. Short side again. Dylan Riley, good inside ball, and still that front foot going forward is the thing that has helped Japan, even though they've got a lot less running metres throughout this game. And a lot of the stats are in favour of Samoa. Japan is still the side with 42 points on the board, whereas Samoa, they are still, at this point, 3 converted tries and something away from getting themselves at least a win here. Grab it in behind, playing the territory game, and almost managed to get it round Masi Alosio. Let's get it into touch. And now again, it will be the line out for Japan. I feel like they aren't done yet. They've still got time to be able to score maybe 1 or 2 more tries. Try and put in a bit of a statement towards the Fijians. Say we are ready for that contest. It just shows how clinical Japan has become. Less ball, made the use of it. Exactly right. Like, Samoa have had so much ball. At one point in the game, they had about 90% of it. Yet Japan at that point were 14 points to 3 up, I believe it was. So, or 14 to 7 it might have been. But it just shows you that, yes, possession in a game is important. But if you're able to score tries when your opposition cannot, even though they've got the ball, like, that's the main thing. Yes, fatigue can start to set in, but I feel like they're built enough of a lead because of so many Samoan errors that, like, even if they were to let their foot off the gas a little bit here, they would still win by a decent enough margin. Now, another scrum. Samoa making a few changes. Michael Curry, not one of them as of yet, or at least that I can't see anyway. How do you think Japan will go against the All Blacks in about a month's time, says a reviewer? I think it will be interesting. see how they match up. I'd like to think it will be a bit more competitive than some anticipate, mainly because of those games that took place between that's going to be a penalty to Japan at scrum time between Māori All Blacks and Japan XV. Like, a lot of people felt like the New Zealand Māori side would just drive by them, clean them up, but they just didn't. Japan managing to win that second game, and then New Zealand getting themselves the win in the first. So I think it could be closer than some think. Now Japan looks like they are going to make the change. Koyama making his way on. Going to get 13 minutes to try and create something at the end. But Fujiwara, a great game for him. I heard there's a lot of missing Samoa Rugby World Cup players on the squad. I haven't seen Alan Alatoa's brother Michael and many others like Charlie Famoina, etc. Yeah, I think that it's one of those situations that as soon as you play in either France or England or the URC, there are preseason games that you get locked into playing. Like the French top 14, I think they had their squad together about a month ago. And as soon as you're in there, you're not allowed out to play international rugby because, they go, we're paying all this money for them. We don't want them getting injured. So that's where you see a lot of guys missing. But for Samoa, it is very hard to build that chemistry when you've got so many players who just aren't available. Not related to this game, but if Razor loses these two tests versus Oz, does he get the boot? Worst start as an AB's coach? It's a good question. Like, it depends whether he loses real bad, I would say. Like, if he loses two close games, yes, it's really bad for New Zealand. But at the same time, like, if they're close, there's hope, I guess you could say. But if it's one-sided and he loses both by like 10, I think that there'll be some big questions asked. But he probably won't get sacked because New Zealand, once again, they did the same thing with Foster, that they put too much money into him in terms of the contract that they can't sack him because they have to pay out the rest of that contract. Or there's like a fine print that says that they have to still pay him a large sum of that. So in his case, like if he was to resign, then they don't have to do that. But if you're getting paid a whole heap of money, you're probably going to take that money even if you're not playing or coaching that well. No wonder why Samoan coach tried his best to select any players who he could find. Thanks, Amish, for the info, says Mark. No worries at all. But yeah, you do see a lot of new names for the Samoans each and every time. And a lot of these guys will not get to play in that next Rugby World Cup, as there are those overseas guys, like you mentioned, that will get to come back in. It does feel like they do have a little bit of something missing at times, mainly because this is such an inexperienced Samoan team, but they have now got themselves a scrum to defend. Koyama again feeds the ball in. And that is a big push for the Japanese. They will go away to the left-hand side. Little cross kick attempted here. Running onto it, and he just can't quite regather for Malo Tuitama. Some great players that aren't even playing in this match for the Japanese. Definitely when you talk about that left wing side. But Tuitami's at 32 metres gained so far. Looks like another change has been made for the Japanese. I think that was Kajimura. Yes, it was. Made his way onto field for McCurran, a man who I've hardly seen throughout this game. But Warner Dearns manages to get the steal at line-out time, which brings Japan only around 5 metres out from the line after a good leg drive from Amato Fakatava in behind to the right. Got numbers here. Want to score one more. Little chip in behind. It's beautiful stuff, but it's knocked on by Japan. The chance was there. His whole team gets around him there. Unfortunately for Takahashi, just wasn't his day. Great bit of work from Warner Dearns. That is one that should have been scored for Takahashi. He will be kicking himself over that one. Now 10 minutes remaining in this contest. Kick downfield from Rodney Ona on the halfway line, going off to the left-hand side. Chance now for Costly to run it straight, and he has been bulldozed backwards. Burns, he's had a solid game. Left-hand side, Kujimura. His first touch of the ball, Koyama. Just building very nicely, and they're showing Samoa how to do phases, which is something Samoa, like I said, just haven't been able to get going all throughout this game. Oh, a little bit of a loose ball there for the Japanese, but they managed to clean it up with Koyama. The ball stays alive. They were told to use it. Go on left-hand side again. Oh, I thought he was going to go for the drop kick there. Seunsin Lee tries a bit of a 50-22 attempt, and now Rodney Horner will be able to run it forward. Great run from Alofipo. He has Lalomilo with him, and he finds him on the outside. One mistake from Seun Lee, and that is going to lead to the try for Samoa, which is a shame because Seunsin Lee all throughout this game has been so strong, and just the one mistake of kicking it back into the hands of the Samoans has led to the great chance of them being able to counter-attack. But Yorna, he had options on both sides. Nice run from Alofipo. He's used to breaking through the one-on-ones from that sevens background, and then gets it on the outside to Lalomilo. Does manage to score. Is there a chance? There shouldn't be. Plenty of Samoan players in provincial rugby. Wonder what the rules are for recruiting, or maybe just players' preference to not play for Samoa or the money. Says Hebrew there. Yeah, I think it's just the level of competitiveness in the NPC at the moment has drawn a lot of people to it. We've seen quite a few Japanese players actually playing in the NPC this year. We've seen Australian players coming over, some playing the NPC rather than playing in the domestic competitions in Australia. Any players you like to see return to Samoa that were in the Rugby World Cup? For me, Lima Sopawanga, says Mark. I mean, he would be a massive boost for them. Someone like a Ben Lamb maybe could be a decent option. We didn't really get to see the best of him, I don't think. And also Duncan Paiua, I thought, did very well throughout that World Cup, but unfortunately afterwards just hasn't quite carried over that same form at international level. But there are quite a few of those guys for the Samoans that I'd love to see once again get that chance. It's just about finding times that you can actually get them in your side. I mean, that loose forward trio, for instance, Luatua, Jordan Taufua, all those guys that could make a big difference. Scored 27 points to 42. Currently 15 points difference between these two sides. Nicely run onto it for Takahashi. Tackle 40 metres out from the line. Now going to the left. And the ball's loose. Picked up by Samoa. They wanted the offload. And that is beautifully cleaned up by the Samoans. Ben Nini. Clean that ball up. Now Dani Tusitala gets it away. Flick out the back door to Tuna Tuitama. Keeps it in the field of play. Tusitala gets there. Looks like there might be a bit of an injury here for the Samoa number 8, which is a shame because he's had such a strong game already. Some rough passing here from Samoa, including the knock-on from Japan at the end of it. It's going to be a knock-on in the tackle, which means that the scrum goes the way of Samoa. We have decided to really commit the final moments of this game. 13 handling errors for Samoa, 11 for the Japanese, just far too high for a game like this. Crowd letting out a big cheer there. And Harada, he will go off. Matsuoka now out there. And did Australia have something similar to the Bunnings NPC in the past? How do Aussie Super Rugby teams end up in those top teams? Says Mark, so they've got the NRC, I believe it is called, which is actually what the Fijian draw used to be a part of before becoming a part of Super Rugby. They used to be in the NPC alongside, I think there's about 5 teams or something along those lines now. You see more so the regions, you got your Perth, your Queensland and whatnot. It can be difficult, and it's not as popular as the rugby league side of things, which means you're, of course, competing for a lot less players and a lot harder to get that attention on you. That referee just telling them to bring the standards back for the last scrum or last couple scrums of the contest. Only 4.5 minutes now left. Crowd's still well and truly getting behind this Japanese side. Wanting to see that one last big push and maybe chance of getting 50 points. It will be tricky though because they still need, theoretically, a try and something to get there. But Danny Tusitala putting the ball in for the Samoans. No, they'll push too early. So the free kick goes the way of the Japanese. They're going to take it quickly. Looks like they're going to. Quick tap is taken. They are 20 metres out from the try line. On left-hand side again. Warner Durns. Step in, but is eventually dragged down. Dylan Riley. No, in fact, it's going to be the big number 7 for the Japanese. I feel like Riley deserves a try here. Another one anyway. Oh, big. Bursting run. Samoa looking for the turnover. Ben Nini can't get it. Look like a knock-on the ground. And dang, says Ratubosi. And unfortunately, Samoa have just had far too many handling errors throughout this game. They've had about 14 in total now. Now off to the left-hand side. Osada getting closer. 7 metres from the line. Gone left. It looked like he was considering the pass there, Costly. Now 2 metres between them and another try, Japan. Oh, that was in off the feet. That was quite bad from Samoa, and that might even be a yellow card if he's not careful. Sounds like it's just going to be a penalty for that one. Right, they're going to call for the scrum. Another chance to score points. Surely Akira Ioane can play for Samoa. Says Hebrew there. I mean, he's not too far away. I don't think in terms of qualification. I think he's... How many years has it been since he was an All Black? 2? I think it is. And I think you have to be not an All Black for 3 years. Or not an international player for 3 years to be able to qualify for that next chance. 2 minutes remaining now, though. What we really do. Feed this ball in. Still 15 points difference. Japan have got a chance of getting extremely close to those 50 points. They could get up to 49 here. It's another big push. Got now the scrum advantage. Nice skip pass on the outside. They can't stop them. And it's the try now. I think it's Takahashi. Yes, it is. He did blow the opportunity of scoring earlier on, but he's got that one of trying to drop goal for Samoa is there if there were 20 minutes left. And then the error is 2 for Samoa, says Mark. And that is now going to bring Japan that slightly bit closer to those 50 points. They already had the advantage, so Japan could throw absolutely everything into that one, and that is exactly what they did. Arofipo trying to drag him down, but in the end to no avail. 20 seconds now left of the shot clock. They've got 30 seconds left in the game, so no matter what, we're going to see one more play here. Now lines it up. And he gets the kick over. making it 49 points to 27. It's certainly been a high-scoring one between these two sides, but Japan, I think that they'll be happy enough with the way that they have played. They still had a few handling errors along the way, but that is something that they can work on before the next week's game up against the Fijians. I think we've just heard the full-time siren. Yes, it was. Samoa just about to kick this one off then in this game. It's been an enjoyable one, even though I would say the one thing that's let it down was the amount of scrums that we did witness throughout this game. That one has been kicked off. Japan have managed to claim it, and all they need to do is boot that ball into touch, and they are now booking themselves a spot in the final up against the flying Fijians. But 49-27, high scoring. Like I mentioned, next weekend we got plenty more rugby action as well. We are going to be covering the Rugby Championship. We're covering the Pacific Nations Cup final taking place between Fiji and the Japanese. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you all for the next one.